What's going on, guys? Today I'm bringing you a new video on how to beat the Warlord's Ruin dungeon solo here on Destiny 2. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown on what weapons I was running, what classes I ran through different encounters, and what mods I had on my armor. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So for the first encounter, when it comes to defeating Wrathel, I decided to use Blade Barrage and pair it with the Shards of Galanor on my hunter's arms. And then for abilities, it's pretty simple. I use Gambler's Dodge, which, dodging near enemies fully recharges your melee ability. And then I use Triple Jump, but you can use whatever jump you like. It doesn't really matter. I don't think I've ever seen anybody use anything other than Triple Jump, but that's completely up to you. I then went ahead and put on Knife Trick, so throwing a fan of knives that scorch targets on hit. And then we went with the Healing Grenade, so a grenade that cures allies on impact or yourself and creates an orb of solar light, granting restoration to allies when picked up. Now for the aspects, I used On Your Mark, so activating your class ability immediately grants maximum stacks of On Your Mark. And then finally, I used Knock 'em Down, so your solar supers are enhanced. Deadshot Golden Gun has damage resistance, Marksman Golden Gun has increased duration, and Blade Barrage launches more projectiles, which is really nice when it comes to DPS. And last but not least, we're just going to get into the fragments just real quick here. I'm going to show you what you have, but you guys can equip whatever you like. It's not up to me, it's up to you. But this is just about survivability at the end of the day. So I used Ember of Torches, I used Ember of Empyrean, I used Ember of Singeing, Ember of Searing, and finally Ember of Ashes. But like I said, you guys can use any fragments you like. At the end of the day, it is about survivability. So just try and stay up, do the best you can, and get through each encounter yourself.
Next, we're just going to go through the armor overview, just going to give you guys a quick little look at, what type of armor I was running, what exotic I was running, and what mods I had on my armor. So first off, I have my helmet. I had a mobility increase, plus 10 mobility. My mobility on the right, as you can see, is pretty garbage, but you don't need mobility. At the end of the day, like I said, it's all about survivability. Next, I had hands-on, so I gained super energy on melee kills. So throwing those knives, dodging, throwing your knives, dodging, you're gonna get your super back as soon as possible, really. And then finally, I had heavy ammo finder, so that increases the drop chance of heavy ammo on each kill. Next up, I had the Shards of Galanor, so you get super energy for Blade Barrage hits and kills. So every time you cast your super, you'll get about half or 3/4 back of your super. For the mods, I had a discipline mod, so plus 10 to discipline. I then equipped heavy-handed, which your powered melee final blows create orbs of power. So throwing your knives or just knifing somebody, you'll be able to generate orbs to get your super back even quicker. Next up, I have impact induction. So causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Finally, I had bolstering detonation. So this grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. Next up would be the chest armor. So I went ahead and added a discipline mod, and then I went and added a artifice armor mod. So I put plus 3 to discipline again. I also have void resistance, and void resistance. Triple void resistance is definitely going to help you within this first and even second counter. You can change it to double void and 1 solar because the enemies such as the Ravagers will definitely do a lot of damage to you. Next up, we have the legs. I added a resilience mod because you want your resilience to at least be 90 to 100 when going into this solo. Like I said, it's all about survivability. You don't want to die too soon, and you don't want to die late especially. I then added Innervation, which reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. I then also added Harmonic Scavenger, so solar weapons get bonus reserves when picking up ammo and used by that weapon. And finally, I have Solar Weapon Surge, so your solar weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. And finally, for the cloak, I went ahead and added a plus 5 to resilience. And now for the artifice armor mod, I went ahead and added a plus 3 to intellect, so that helps me get my super back a little bit quicker. I then added Reaper, so shortly after using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. This is very good for getting your super back. I then went ahead and added time dilation. Your decaying armor charge has a longer duration. That is super nice. And finally, I went ahead and used Bomber. So this reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. And that's pretty much it when it comes to mods on my hunter. Feel free to change whatever you guys like, such as like the mobility mods, resilience mods, intellect mods, and etc. But now let's move on to the weapons and see what I was running. When it comes to weapons, I prefer a fast rate of fire scatter signal, the new fusion rifle this season. I had rapid fire frame, I had slice, controlled burst, dragon's vengeance, and minor spec. For the second weapon, I used the callus mini tool for the first 2 encounters of this dungeon. I have
Threat Detector, which greatly increases reload stability and handling. I also have Incandescent. Defeating a target spreads a longer lasting scorch those enemies nearby. And then I had 2 Excess with minor spec. And finally, I was using the Dragon's Breath rocket launcher. This rocket launcher is probably one of the best in the game right now. I did not have the catalyst for it, and it still fries the bosses no matter what. I definitely recommend using this. If you do have the catalyst, slap that puppy on, or if you don't have the catalyst, make sure you get it beforehand, but I didn't have it at the time of completion. It is still very good to use. Finally, we're going to dive into the seasonal artifact for this season. You guys are going to want to make sure that you definitely have Solo Operative unlocked before completing this dungeon. So this is basically just stating while you are the only member of your fire team, you deal increased damage to all combatants. So the next artifact perk you're going to want to have as well is definitely Rays of Precision. So while you're radiant, solar precision final blows cause combatants to ignite. The next artifact perk you guys are going to want to unlock as well is Flint Striker. So rapid solar weapon precision hits and rapid solar weapon final blows grant radiant. Then the next artifact perk you guys want to unlock is definitely the Kindling Trigger. This is basically stating that radiant causes solar weapons to apply scorch to unscorched combatants. And finally, the final artifact perk that you guys must equip is From Whence You Came. So this increases ability damage to taken and scorn combatants. Now when it comes to the third encounter, when fighting Heffend, I highly recommend that you use Void. I like using Void just for the survivability reasons. Being able to pop a smoke or just get out of harm's way is always needed when it comes to either, just surviving during a flawless run or just surviving during a completion. So now we're going to go through the abilities, aspects, and fragments of this build. So I have Shadow Shot Mobius Quiver currently equipped. The abilities that I went with are Gambler's Dodge, just like the last one, Triple Jump, Snare Bomb, and Vortex Grenade. Now for the aspects, I have Vanishing Step and Trapper's Ambush. For the fragments, like I said on my solar build, you guys can use whatever you want, but this is just what I prefer. So I have Echo of Persistence, Echo of Provision, Echo of Leeching, and Echo of Remnants. Now it's time for the armor overview. Like I said earlier, it's all about survivability. So I decided to use the Omni Oculus. On my helmet, I have a Resilience mod, Heavy Ammo Finder, Heavy Ammo Scout, and Kinetic Siphon. On my arms, I have Resilience mod, Discipline Forge Artifice Armor mod, Strand Loader, which increases reload speed of strand weapons, so that'll be good for the scatter signal. I have Fastball, which increases grenade throw distance. And finally, I'm using Focusing Strike. Now for the Omni Oculus, basically what this does, it makes you invisible so you gain damage resistance. And on my Omni Oculus, I have a Discipline mod, Solar Reserves, Harmonic Resistance, and Harmonic Resistance. Now for my legs, I have Resilience mod, an Artifice Armor Resilience mod, Innervation, and Absolution. Finally, for my cloak, I have a double Resilience mod. I'm running Reaper and a double Bomber mod. And finally, for the weapon overview, you'll see that I still have the Scatter Signal and the Callous Mini Tool equipped, but I did sub out the Dragon's Breath for the Apex Predator because I have Reconstruction and Bait and Switch, so that'll really do a lot of damage during the boss phase.
And yeah, that is basically what I ran to get through the Warlord's Ruin dungeon on solo here in Destiny 2. Leave a like, comment whether you think this is a good loadout or not, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.